My name is Amélie Proulx. I'm an artist based in Quebec, Canada. This is my studio. I share my studio time between the making of public art projects and my own research and practice. With every project that I'm working on, I'm trying to connect my field of interests with commissions that I receive from different public institutions. In 2022, I started a research project that was on my mind for a long time, and the pandemic seems to have made this project even more relevant. As we all remember, the supply chains got disrupted during the pandemic, making it difficult to buy some raw materials for production. It became clear to me at that time that I had to figure out ways to become more self-sufficient and local. For many years, I've had interest in geology and in the transformations of rocks and minerals into raw materials. This was the opportunity for me to explore the landscape surrounding me in search of its transformative potential. To get started with my research project, I consulted a few geologists. They guided me towards some of the resources they're using for field prospections. One of the tools they suggested is an online interactive map called CGEON, which gives a global overview of all past and present prospections or mining sites known in the province of Quebec. This website turned out to be extremely useful to establish a list of sites where I could potentially find rocks and minerals that could be turned into raw materials for my clay and glazes. In my research, I focused my attention on rocks and minerals that are often used in ceramics such as dolomite, quartz, and talc. I carefully archived all important information in a document, GPS coordinates, and name of owners of sites to ask for permission if the sites were on private land. Throughout the spring, summer, and fall of 2022, I visited close to 100 sites in different regions of the province of Quebec. In every visited site, I gathered samples of rocks with my hammer and chisels and took pictures or videos of the sites to have a reminder in case I wanted to go back there. At the same time as I was gathering rocks and minerals on site, I was also busy in my studio archiving and testing each sample before and firing at 1230 degrees Celsius. After a first test firing, I proceeded to another series of tests where I crushed rocks and incorporated them in my porcelain in a first test style, on my porcelain in a second test style, and in a transparent glaze on a third test style. This allowed me to assess the potential of each rock and mineral in different circumstances. At some point through this process, the fired rock themselves became very attractive to me. Through the firing process, some rock changed color dramatically, some expanded like a cake cooking in an oven, some melted completely, and others disintegrated a few hours or days after the firing. When analyzing these results, it became clear to me that I was no longer just looking for raw material substitutes that would behave just like the raw materials available at ceramic suppliers, but that I was expanding my library of raw material with all the rock and minerals collected in the landscape surrounding me. From there, I switched my focus to celebrating this collecting process rather than just trying to transform the rocks and minerals. To celebrate this process, I made molds of different female hand positions that could represent my own hand in the process of collecting, manipulating, displaying, assembling, and holding. Once bisque fired, these hands were assembled with different rock and mineral specimens that I thought were particularly interesting after their first test firing. This process resulted in a body of work called Les Horizons Marqueurs that I presented in 4 exhibitions since the start of this project. I also made a video called Les Cendres d'une Montagne, representing the self-pulverization of a rock after firing. The whole pulverization process occurred for a few hours after firing. The footage was edited to present this phenomenon in a 5-minute video. For this presentation, I'm speeding up the video to show you the kind of transformation that occurred. In the summer of 2023, I also worked on a series of work called Étude du mouvement des algues sur roche, where I created out of porcelain seaweed composition that I assembled on rocks. Everything was then fired to 1230 degrees Celsius, making the porcelain and the rock fuse together in one single composition. The colors, textures, and shapes that resulted from this research allowed me to enrich the already profoundly material experience of ceramics, making nature at once the subject and object of my creative explorations.